Hello everyone, welcome to this Supboarder video where I'm going to be sharing with you our tips and tricks to get your dog into paddleboarding. Whether you've just got into SUP and have got a dog, or you're already a paddleboarder and you've just got yourself a puppy, hopefully in this video there's going to be a few tips that'll help you get them onto the water happily and safely. Now before we jump into the video, remember there's loads of ways you can do this, and we are not dog trainers, we are paddleboarders that have a dog, and this is just the way that we found was the funnest and easiest and less stressful way for a dog to get on the water. So the first thing to remember when you're getting your dog into paddleboarding is dogs are just like people. As in, some of them love the water and some of them don't like the water. And I do think you need to make sure you don't push your dog into a situation that they obviously don't really want to be in. But there's definitely a few things you can do at the start of their paddleboard journey to make it way more fun and more enjoyable for them. But before we jump into that, let's talk about the gear that you need. Well, you're going to use the paddleboard you've got, of course, but ideally you're going to want a bigger paddleboard. We've been using the Thurso Max Multi. Is a monster of a board, 11'6" long and 34 inches wide. A good amount of stability for two of us to get on there and the dog, because you don't really want to be worrying about your balance and the dog at the same time, definitely when you start off. So a wide stable board is going to make it much easier, and if you've got a nervous dog, it's going to make them much more happy as well, because it's not going to be moving around very much. Looking at the dog's equipment, if you do have a dog that loves to be in the water almost more than on it and is jumping off or falling off the paddleboard all the time, then having a buoyancy aid with a handle on the back of the dog is a really good move. So much easier for picking the dog up and putting them back on the board. Whether you want to have a leash or lead on your dog when you're on the paddleboard is again personal preference. We opted to have a leash on our dog a lot of the times, definitely when he was younger, just so we could control him jumping on and off the board and trying to get him to be a little bit calmer in one place. But again, I wouldn't recommend tying the leash onto the paddleboard, just let it run free, and having not such a long leash that it obviously can get tangled. Again, use your common sense about this and think if it's a good move or not for you and your dog. So now let's jump on to the very first steps to getting your dog on the water happily. Well, the very first step is probably not getting your dog on the water. The first step is really taking your fin off your paddleboard, maybe having half of the board in the water, half of it on the beach, and let the dog get on the paddleboard. Sit on the paddleboard with the dog, give the dog a bit of food, play a game on the paddleboard, make it a fun, happy place. Every time they jump on that paddleboard, they're going to think happy things are going to happen, and this is where I want to be, with my owner, having fun. Now it's really important also to address where you're paddling and the conditions you're paddling in. You are after somewhere that is flat, dead flat, ideally no wind, because you don't want to be getting blown along in a certain direction when you're trying to control your dog and play with your dog. You might not even want to be paddling, so no wind, dead calm, dead flat. Now the progression of how quick your dog takes to the water is going to be different between every dog. Like I said, for us, after about 20 minutes of just taking our time, feeding him, making him know that this is a happy and fun place, he was really happy just to sit on the paddleboard as we slowly paddled round. It's definitely starting off sitting down on your knees is great, but then you can progress to standing up, you can progress to paddling further, you can progress to going out in choppier conditions as well. Just always manage how happy your dog is, and remember, if they're getting a little bit scared, I would recommend going back to flatter waters on your knees, bit more play, bit more reward, bit more stroking, happy times on the paddleboard, and then slowly go out and carry on where you left off. There are a few rules we'd like our dog to do when he's on the paddleboard. They are trying to stay up the front of the paddleboard and either sit or stand still, ideally. The dogs that walk around in between your legs from the front and the back is okay if they're smaller. The bigger dogs that start doing that, I can imagine it's a bit more of a challenge, and if you're on a smaller paddleboard, it's again going to be even more of a challenge. The other one is when we were coming into the beach or estuary to get off the paddleboard, we got the dog to wait for us to get off and wait till we release them off the paddleboard. Again, this is why we were always opting for a leash with our dog. Going out in the water with your dog is a lot of fun, and I think a lot of your dogs out there will really enjoy it. It's nice to be close to you, and also they get to take in all the sights and smells that are right around them. If you've got any tips, tricks, comments about taking your dogs paddleboarding, please let us know. Get them in the comments below. But I hope you found this video a little bit useful. A few basic tips in there, but I think they will make a difference to you getting you on the water with a happy pooch in the end. My name is Ruben. As always, check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's loads of SUP videos on there. Also check out SUPboarder Pro, which is our subscription service, which is the next level of SUPboarder content. Until next time, happy paddling, happy dog training, and we'll see you soon.